Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for our special session webinar. My name is Taylor Pruitt. I will be taking you through our sneak peek at some of our new lead tracking features that we're going to be introducing into ConstructionOnline in the coming weeks. I also have my colleague Jenny here with me today. She's going to be chiming in a little bit, telling you guys about some of the lead tracking features that we have and kind of the process that we went through to get here. Really some pretty good insight into the lead tracking capabilities that Jenny has to share with you guys. We'll get over to her in just a moment and let her talk to you more about that. But before we dive in, I really just wanted to thank everyone for showing up. I was trying to give people a few more minutes here to join in. I know we had a few people that were trying to get into the webinar and had some connection issues, so I was making sure that everyone that was joining us today was able to make it before we got too far into it. But really, this is one of those things that, as always, ConstructionOnline is gaining a ton of momentum as far as the features that are available. We're constantly working here to bring in new features, give you guys more value out of the system and what you're paying for. It's already an extremely robust feature set, but what we have for you guys is going to be even more so a new feature and kind of an addition to the value that you get out of ConstructionOnline by extending the life of the project forward and helping you actually start this a little bit earlier than just the estimate generation, the proposal generation. It helps you gather leads, track leads, and really get more value out of the entire process to track from start to finish. And so with this, we have, as always, really gotten a lot of feedback from clients about how the lead tracking feature should work. We definitely like to try to poll and get as much information as possible from clients of all different industries and kind of corners of construction to make sure that this is going to be applicable and really work for everybody that's using ConstructionOnline, making sure that it's customizable enough but also defined enough to really give you guys some clear direction on it. And so we've gotten plenty of client feedback on how you guys would like the system to work, and we've certainly taken that to heart and made some improvements based on that. But lead tracking is a little bit unique in the sense that the sales pipeline and the lead tracking aspect of it is something that we also do, as a software vendor on a day-to-day basis. And so we've got a pretty unique insight on this as well. We've got some really good first-hand experience with the sales processes and with lead tracking and follow-ups and things like that we were able to really impart a lot of our own knowledge and first-hand experience into this also. And that's where Jenny and some of the other members of our sales team have come in, is that they've been able to tell us a lot of things that they would like to see out of a system. Up until now, we've been using third-party systems to really track our leads, follow up with clients and contacts, and kind of the CRM side of things. But this has really opened the door for us to use our own products internally. And it's not only a win for you guys and our clients to be able to do this as well, but for us internally to be able to use a system like this that we've been able to design to work well for everybody and keep up with your leads and really get some great insight into that. So I'm going to let Jenny talk a little bit about some of those features that we've added, some of the suggestions and feedback that our sales team had, and just kind of introduce you to a few of the new concepts that we've brought in, and then I'll go into a little more detail and actually show you guys what those look like. But I'll pass it over to Jenny to let her talk a little bit about the some of the features and ideas that kind of came into play here.
Yeah, so again, my name is Jenny. I'm one of our sales representatives here at UDA Technologies. And everything that Taylor is saying is absolutely right. I mean, we've been working pretty hard on our lead tracking feature, and of course, all of our developers here have been taking a lot of notes from us into what we really would love to see within a lead tracking pipeline or feature here. So as a representative for a couple of years now, of course, I've dealt with a lot of numerous different types of software and also websites that deal with lead tracking. I'm pretty confident here that our lead tracking feature is one that you guys will definitely find very beneficial to your company. So I'm going to just go ahead and name off a few of my favorite features. One of them is, of course, tracking your leads throughout various pipelines and stages, from whether that be the initial contact to the closed won stage. So this will let you really keep an eye on the health of your pipeline at all times. Another really cool feature that Taylor will go into more detail about here in a little later is our lead capture tool. So interested clients can actually fill out a form on your public profile and also a form on your own company website as well. And it'll automatically create a lead for you within ConstructionOnline. So that's something, whenever you have a client coming in looking at your website, of course they can fill out a form and it'll populate within ConstructionOnline. The last thing I want to share with you guys is, of course, lead events. I know how important it is to keep track of all of your leads on a daily, weekly, or, of course, monthly basis. And also keep track and prioritize the ones that need to be called or set up an appointment with. So we've created a way to easily track the calls you need to make each day and log the outcome of those calls using our call logs.
And those are three of the really big features that we kind of like to highlight with lead tracking. Some of those, I know we've got a kind of mix of attendees in here as far as current clients versus potential clients and those that may or may not have been using the lead tracking feature to date. So in case anyone is unaware, we actually do have our lead tracking feature already live on ConstructionOnline. Has been live for a little while here, since last fall, I guess, was the debut of that. But this go around, we are introducing some enhancements and improvements to existing features as well as some brand new features. You guys may have seen some of the ones that Jenny just mentioned advertised. Specifically, that lead capturing tool is a really, really cool one. You'll be able to take the public profiles that we offer through ConstructionOnline, have a way for interested clients or potential clients that are coming to your website or your public profile to fill out a quick form, a standard, hey, want more information, contact us here, name and email address, and they'll be able to fill that out. It comes straight into your lead tracking feature within ConstructionOnline. That's a new one that you guys will see today. This is a sneak peek, just as a reminder, so this is not currently on your live ConstructionOnline accounts. We're shooting to have this available in the next week or possibly week and a half for you guys, but at the moment, you won't be able to see some of this on your own accounts. We're trying to get some final feedback, final testing done right here, make sure that it's exactly what we want it to be, and getting that for our clients. But as Jenny mentioned, a lot of these things are things that we have seen and have worked with in other systems. And, kind of as Jenny mentioned, we see internally a lot of the strengths of other programs. Just to name a few, the more popular ones out there, Salesforce, HubSpot, other CRM systems, Zoho, that track your leads and your contacts. We've really been around the block, seen them all, gotten a lot of great ideas on what works well in those systems. We've got just as many or, even more ideas, I think, of what doesn't work well or what we didn't like about those systems and have made improvements on those as well. So ConstructionOnline is really changing the game a little bit and introducing, like I said, a completely new phase of your project management with the lead tracking, completely pre-contract and pre-project to make sure that you're getting the health of that pipeline built up. And so with that, I guess, all of you being here, you obviously understand the importance, or at least the need for lead tracking, or are interested in it. I wanted to share a quick story with you guys as far as the importance of lead tracking goes, in case it's not completely apparent, or if you guys have never really had to worry about this before. It's one of my favorite stories to tell because it's one of those kind of hit you right in the gut stories that you don't realize until it's too late. I was working with a client, this was probably a little over a year ago at this point, and they had come in and had a very successful company. They were specializing in custom homes and were doing really well with it, had kind of found their niche, and had a lot of business going well, and they actually merged with another company and started taking on some renovations and remodel projects as well. Well, at that point, the project management aspect of it was a little bit subpar. They had not yet come to ConstructionOnline. This is eventually why they came to us and started using our product, but they were kind of doing everything that they could to just stay on top of the projects that were ongoing. When they merged, there were quite a few projects that they were in the middle of that they had to, pretty much just try to stay afloat and make sure the jobs didn't go under. Taking on about twice as much work of a different kind of job that they were used to was a bit of a stressful procedure, something that they kind of scrambled with. And what ended up happening was they had those jobs that carried them through about the next 5 or 6 months. And they did well enough. They finished those jobs. Most of them came out, positive on. A few of them, they were in the red, but nothing that was completely damaging to their company. But at the end of those 5 or 6 months, what they found was that they spent so much time focusing on those current jobs, they didn't have anything lined up. They didn't have a pipeline of new jobs to start once that was over. At that point, as many of you probably know, it's not that easy to just pick up jobs right off the bat. Finding new work, finding jobs, and keeping that current revenue stream going is one of the most challenging parts of construction management. And, at that point, they were out of work for about 6 months at that point. Had to take out a second mortgage the owner did on his house in order to keep the business afloat, keep paying his employees, and finally got back on track with ConstructionOnline, not only for the project management, but also with some of the lead tracking tools. At that point in time, we didn't have these available, but the project management helped keep on track, and the importance of a pipeline was completely evident, and that was one of the things that when we introduced our lead tracking feature, this particular client jumped on it and has been one of the most kind of ambitious and frequent users of this, because they know better than anybody the importance of this. And many of you out there in the audience right now might be thinking, well, are you talking about me? Did I talk to you? Did I tell you this story? And no, this is actually a client. I can tell you for sure that they're not in this webinar at this point. They are a power user of lead tracking, probably don't have any need to be taught anything about it at this point, but it's a story that's all too common in the construction industry, and is why about 20% of construction companies every year close their doors. So this is really going to keep you guys in the game and make it to where you don't have to worry about that revenue stream. If you use these lead tracking features, it's really going to help transition from project to project and make sure that not only with the power of our project management features that you can successfully manage jobs on time and on budget, but that you also have those jobs to begin with in order to keep that revenue stream flowing. And so I'm going to go ahead and dive in and actually show you guys what some of these features are going to look like. Jenny's actually going to still be here to answer some questions that are coming in. So you guys do have the ability to send questions in throughout the webinar if anything needs to be clarified, or if you're interested in a particular feature, more detail on it, if you have any suggestions or feedback, send those in. Jenny will be here to answer as many of those questions as possible. We do have some pretty incredible attendance today, so I will say that Jenny is probably not going to be able to get to every single one of the questions that you guys send in, but if she doesn't get to any of them, I will circle back around and actually have a time at the end of the webinar today where I can go ahead and answer any of those unanswered questions and make sure that everybody gets what they need. I'm actually having a few clients chat in right now saying that they're having some audio issues. I wanted to check to see if this is universal. I haven't seen anybody say that they haven't been able to hear other than that. So if any of you guys in the audience could just chat in, let me know that you can hear me. That would make me feel a little bit better that I'm not just talking to a blank screen. So it might just be a particular case or two that's having some audio issues. Okay, perfect. You guys are wonderful. Got overwhelming feedback there from the sound. So looks like we are good to go in most cases, so this should be great. And at this point, you shouldn't have seen anything on the screen really move yet, but I hope that all you guys can see my screen. Now my mouse is moving. I'm clicking around a little bit. So if you're not seeing that, let me know. But other than that, I'll assume that we're good to go, and Jenny will be on standby to answer any questions that come in. And so really, I guess I'll try to go through the logical flow here of kind of tracking these leads and bringing them in. And I know most of you guys are here to see the actual functionality of it, but I always like to take the chances that I can to kind of share some of those stories with you guys, because it really does, a lot of it is firsthand knowledge for you. I mean, many of our clients that we talk to have experienced those similar kind of heartbreaking situations or struggles and ups and downs throughout their career, and is why they're, using a system like ConstructionOnline to make sure that doesn't happen again. So most people know all too well the kind of struggles and the downfalls of not properly managing projects and things of that nature. But it really is something that is very impactful on us. We hear these stories all the time. We talk to successful clients. We talk to clients who have, again, had their ups and downs. And we have the benefit of kind of being on the outside looking in, almost a fly on the wall, and really objectively taking some of that information and seeing the things that work well for people and the things that don't work well, and being able to share those experiences from, a single client that might be in Southeast Asia to the rest of our clients in the United States or South Africa or the UK, and make sure that everybody is benefiting from that common knowledge and really doing the best practices for their trade or for their specific area, and applying that throughout the system. So with this, the lead tracking tool is going to be a pretty crucial feature for many of you, especially for those who have dedicated sales reps. This is going to really tie a lot in there. And again, I'm going to try to find a balance. Many of you are probably already using lead tracking and know the basics. I'm going to cover those a little bit for those who are brand new to it, coming in here for the first time. And so with our lead tracking, as with any feature in ConstructionOnline, you can access it by clicking over here on the left-hand sidebar on the lead tracking feature. Leads are stored by company. So every company user that you have on ConstructionOnline is going to have the same leads list. You do have permissions, of course, to choose who sees the leads and who doesn't, excuse me. But the list will be company-wide. So if one company adds a lead, or one company user adds a lead, it will be accessible or available to all of your company users using lead tracking, and so you don't have to enter it multiple times in order to have that available to everybody. You do have the ability, of course, to assign certain leads to certain sales reps or certain users of ConstructionOnline so that they can then filter out their grid or their view here by only the ones that they're responsible for or looking at. And so that's kind of where we're going to start, is on the overall grid of all of your leads. I've only got 14 leads in here, so not too many. That's going to be standard for a lot of you. That's going to be a fraction of what many of our clients have as far as leads going on at one time. But you can manually enter these leads, of course, just like any other system, either through the Add Lead button at the top right. You kind of have more of a modal sequence to go through to add information, go through add lead details, lead events, attach any files or documents to this as well. My preferred method, however, is the Quick Add. If you click this, it'll just give you a new row right here at the top. You can type in, and I'm actually going to use myself as an example here on the leads. And let's see, you can customize these columns. I've got mine to be the lead name or the display name first, and then the first and last name after that. So I've created a little bit of redundancy for myself here, typing in the first and last name and then doing it again. You can hide some of these columns if you want to make it to where you don't have to do that twice. The email address is required, so currently, just like any contact in ConstructionOnline, you must have an email address in order to actually create this, because when you create a lead, it does create them as a contact in ConstructionOnline. It's going to be a ClientLink member that you're using to assign to a specific project. So if you're going to go ahead and enter this, I'll just create a fake email because I already have a contact in ConstructionOnline with my real email. And let's just say that this is going to be Taylor Pruitt new at col.com. Phone number, you can see here as I go through this is very easy data entry. It's I know you can't see my actual hands or what I'm doing here, but the tab keys and the enter keys do work here, so you can just tab through as you enter information. So I'll hit that and I'll hit tab, it'll go over to the next one. The status and stage I can apply here. So these are predefined fields in the status, just helping classify what stage your leads are in here, whether they're inactive, if they're still open, or if closed won or closed lost. And so with this, if you go ahead and choose, let's say open in this case, the stage can be initial communication. The stages can be customized and defined. We do actually give you an initial set, kind of a logical progression all the way through initial communication, presentation, commitment to buy, and then sales fulfillment. We'll talk about customizing those stages in a minute, but data entry is very easy as you go through here. I'll just say UDA Technologies as my company, and then go ahead and submit this. And you'll see that that jumps down. I've got mine organized by name, so it automatically puts it in the place alphabetically that it would be here. I've got this in my grid, and it is now added to my lead pipeline at the top. You can actually see this is broken down by stage, so that unassigned, initial communication, needs assessment. It's going to populate these bubbles kind of based on the number of leads that are in each. So you'll see that I have the most in sales fulfillment. After that comes initial communication and presentation. If I actually click on any of these stages, so presentation for example, you'll see that it kind of hones in or focuses on this, and I now have 3 leads, my filtered leads here in the presentation phase. And it actually filters the value here as well. So if I click on this again, I'll go back to the main view. You can see the total I've entered about $1.5 million of leads in here. If I filter by a specific stage, then it will show me the filtered value or the dollar value that I have in that particular phase or stage. So for example, I can go back and look at my sales fulfillment and see that I've closed $502,000 of leads, which is great. These tools are going to be really used at your discretion. So You can see that as I click on this, it's actually changing this filter right here, the second one, as far as the stage goes. You can do compound filtering here, and I'm actually going to jump out of this. And so you can say, all right, I only want to see my open leads, first of all, because I'm focusing on ones that I need to still reach out to and need to close. I don't care about the ones that I've already won or lost. Maybe I want to see the ones that are in commitment to buy right now, which only happens to be one. Mrs. Ginny Weasley that we have here. So if we have any Harry Potter fans, shout out to you guys. But you can see that I only have one here. I can go through and then continue to filter by sales rep or by business type, whether it's new business, existing business, and then source. So if you're focusing on a particular source, and let me actually clear some of these filters, you can do so by clicking on this button over here. Maybe I just want to see the ones that are, created as online advertisement or from my public profile, for example. I can do that here, and I actually don't have any lead sources assigned. But that is something that you can filter by any of these and get really whatever reporting functionality you want out of this. And the filtered lead and the filtered value will apply. So it's almost a built-in reporting feature here with the dashboards. That being said, many of you are going to want to get this information out of the system for reporting as well. You do have the ability to export to Excel, and that's going to take whatever view or filter that you're in. So if I clear this out and export to Excel, it will export everything. If I filter by my open leads, it will only export these 7 or so. And so that way you have a little bit of external reporting to do here as well, but most of it can really be done within the system and give you all the info you need. I do have some questions coming in that it looks like I should probably address through the webinar and not through the chat questions back. A couple people are asking about creating leads without email addresses. And currently, because these leads are created as contacts within ConstructionOnline as well, contacts do require an email address to be created. So currently, you will have to have an email address. Now, it doesn't have to be valid. There's no checking here to make sure that the email address you put in is actually one that can be sent to. So you can make up fake email addresses or just temporary ones and put in, lead1 at UDA.com if you would like to, lead2 at UDA.com just as placeholders until you can get in touch with them and fill that information out. I will caution you guys at this point against, if you use the same email address for all of your leads, then that will actually replace that information. Emails are unique identifiers in ConstructionOnline, so just like Facebook, just like Gmail, just like LinkedIn or any of those other platforms that you actually have to have an account for, email addresses are what differentiates one contact from another. It's how you log in. It's how you're stored in the system. And so no two contacts can have the same email address. So if you put in an email address for one lead and then try to use it again for the second lead, it's going to tie those two together as the same contact. So if you're going to use fake email addresses, you can do so. Go ahead and kind of create a system to where you can increment maybe a number in the email address every time so that you're not creating the same one. But I will go ahead and say, ease a lot of your minds on this, that we are already working on an update to this and may even be part of the initial release, which is, again, probably about a week and a half out, maybe, week and a half before all of this goes live. And nothing that you've seen so far, by the way, is actually anything new, just kind of covering the basics. All of this is already available to you. But we will hopefully very soon have the ability for you to create leads without email addresses. But right here, right now, it does require one. So with that, continuing on through this, you can get a lot of reporting through your pipeline stages. Some of my favorite ways to use this and kind of the feedback that we've gotten from our internal sales team as well is that it is nice to see, your open leads that are, close to being fulfilled. So those that are about to purchase. If I scroll over a little bit, you can actually see some date information on, the value here, when they were last contacted, when you need to call them back again. So you can actually schedule these events for callbacks. If I clear my filters, we'll get a little bit more info here. You can, of course, sort these. So if you want to sort by last contact, you can see the ones that you haven't given enough attention to and start with them and call them first. You can sort by next callback to see which ones are kind of imminent or upcoming and reach out to those first as well. We've got some much better ways to manage this really on the day views that we're going to have on ConstructionOnline that we'll talk about here in a moment. Those are some of the new features that we're introducing. But you can certainly use this at a glance to get an overall big picture of when you need to call people back and what's upcoming. With this, though, the lead tracking tools that we have here, once you've entered all of your leads, this main grid is kind of the overall grouping and kind of the big picture of everything. As you're tracking your events, so once you've entered the leads into the system, you're going to have the ability to follow up with them very easily, to create meetings and events and callbacks and things like that. So if I go and look at one of our leads right now, let's say that I look at Elmer Fudd. If I click on the lead, I'll get some more information. I can go to the lead events tab and add an event such as a callback or a meeting. So if I have a callback, if I need to follow up with Elmer, check in on things, make sure that he's got everything he needs from me, I can do that. And let's say that I put it on the 6th, tomorrow. And I can choose a nice color here to assign to him. Colors can be used for any number of things. It can be used for different sales reps if you want. It can be used for different types of calls, depending on the nature of it, different types of jobs. Really, the world is your oyster as far as this goes. We've got plenty of colors to choose from. You guys can come up with your own scheme, or you can just pick whatever color you feel like that day. So if I do this, though, I can create a callback for Elmer, and now go ahead and save that. And if I move over to my lead calendar, this is going to show me all of the meetings that I have on ConstructionOnline. And right now, I am in April, so let me switch over here and actually give you guys, I'm filtered down by sales rep here, so let me switch over to all sales reps, and we can see a few more events that we need to work with here. But this calendar, as you can see, is going to show your meetings. So any times that you have 1:30 to 2:30 for this meeting with Nala, any callbacks are going to show on here as well. On that note, any of you guys who are used to using the existing calendar on ConstructionOnline, the master calendar, the construction calendar, these lead events will actually tie into that as well. So you have a specific section, and let me go ahead and actually show you guys that as well. If we jump over to the calendars really quickly, the lead calendar is going to be just lead events, so just your callbacks, just your meetings with existing leads. The calendars feature the construction calendar will be everything, of course, all of your to-dos, all of your punch list items, all of your scheduled tasks. But as you're using these lead calendars, you'll actually see that there is a checkbox for lead events, and that will show you all of the activity that you've had, any callbacks that you've scheduled, any meetings that you have, and the times that these are scheduled for, and these actually populate onto the main calendar as well. So it's not just something that's going to be isolated into the leads feature. You can actually have that come over into the main calendar. Of course, this still respects permissions, so always a concern for a lot of our clients is who can see what. Many of you guys run very open businesses, smaller businesses where everybody is kind of involved in everything. Many of you guys have it a little more broken out or structured if you have specific roles for specific people and information is a little bit more sensitive. Then you can actually still rely on those permissions that you've set up on who can see leads and who cannot to apply to this calendar as well, so that they're not actually looking at lead events on the main calendar that they're not supposed to see. And so with that, I'm going to hop back over to the lead calendar here for just a moment. And if I do this, then we can actually see some additional events that have been created. And so now, and I apologize for kind of jumping back and forth again, we've got these on a few different locations as far as where these are accessible from. So again, this is something that you guys want to experience, and this is why it's not quite live yet, but I am having to jump back and forth between a few different browser windows. So as you can see here, these are events that we've created for callbacks on our lead calendar. On the month view, it's going to be very nice and color-coded. If you're using those colors, it's going to show here and give you exactly what you need to see. And if you click on the events, of course, it gives you some additional information, lead values, who the sales rep is, things like that. You can actually filter this calendar by sales rep if you would like, and see everything's actually assigned to me at the moment. But if I filter by somebody else or no sales rep, then it will hide those events. The month view is, again, kind of an overview, kind of like the grid is going to be. Some of the new features that we've introduced, so in addition to that lead capture tool that I'll show you guys in just a moment, one of the really nice new features that we've introduced is your callback list and kind of your action point on the day view. So if you actually switch over from month to day view here on the calendar, you'll have a split view. The left side is going to be your meetings for that day, so kind of all the way through the day you can see anything that's happening and what time it's happening. I'm still filtered by sales rep, so if I go back out You can see all sales reps. But the right-hand side is going to be your callbacks. So any callbacks that you've scheduled for today or any callbacks that you've scheduled for the past that have not been completed yet will be visible here. So you can see that I actually have 4 of them, 3 that were scheduled for today, 1 that was scheduled for a previous day that's actually overdue. And so as a sales rep, this is really going to be your action list. Every day you can come in here and just look at your day view, see what meetings you have scheduled, see who you need to call today to follow up with throughout the day. And you've got a nice list here on the right-hand side. If I start and go ahead and say, all right, well, I need to call Meredith. Here's her phone number. I can go ahead and give her a call. And based on the result of that call, we've got a couple different things that can happen. So if you connect and you have some call notes or an update that you need to put in, you can click our call log button here. It will launch the call log entry, automatically populate the information with the lead, what their phone number was, when the call was made, to the nearest 15 minutes. So you can see that it's 3:37 our time now. This is defaulted to 3:30. And you can put in any notes or any results from the call. So say Meredith would like to come by the office on Friday and talk about draw schedules. Let's say that. So we can go ahead and save that call log. That's been made, and now I can check this off as a call that I've completed. It will show me, that I'm 1 of 4 complete, gives you some nice progress indication, make you feel like you're actually getting things done. Of course you are. And so as you're going through this, let's say that you call somebody and, as is often the case in the world of sales, you get their voicemail or you can't get them on the phone. I know internally that kind of seems to be the case about 85-90% of the time we reach out to people. Have to be persistent, have to keep calling them. So as you're reaching out to these leads, if you call them and you don't get in touch with them, we've got a very easy way for you to actually push this call back to another day. So, if today wasn't your lucky day, you can just push the push forward button. You've got the ability to choose a specific day if you want to, but we have some quick click actions for you to push it forward a single day or a single week. If I do 1 day, you'll see that actually is removed from my pending calls. If I go to the next day, April 6th, you can see that that one is now present here. So you can go through as you make these calls, check the boxes, complete these calls, and it actually shows you your progress throughout the day. And then you can do this every single day as kind of your own game plan. Meetings, I don't have any today. Let me hop back to my week view actually. You can see that tomorrow I have a meeting at 4:30 with Jenny. So if I go back to my day view and hop over here, you can see that that does show up on my meetings calendar and my callbacks are still here. So this is my game plan or my schedule for tomorrow. So that is one of those things that it's really convenient as a sales rep to come in here and actually focus in general on a specific day and kind of what you have to get done. Once you've created those callbacks, everything really falls into place and you can just go look at today's agenda and see, all right, come in here, filter by yourself, and say, here's my game plan. I've got Ginny Weasley in here, and I've got a meeting at 4:30. Sometime between now and then, I've got to make all of these calls and go through and do this as well. And so, as we're working on this, these are some of the tools that you guys will have the ability to take advantage of. We would love to hear some feedback on this as well. We feel like we've got it running a pretty tight ship as far as everything that you would want. It keeps it simple, but still gives you all the information you need. Like I said, we're still kind of making some last-minute tweaks and adjustments, so if there's anything you guys would like to see added to this or done a little bit differently, please let us know. I see there's a ton of questions coming in already. We're actually getting some of these answered for you right now, it looks like. So anything that is still pending when I finish up today, I'll come back and circle through. But I do want to continue moving forward just a little bit, talking about a few of the other features that we do have now. And so back to our lead pipeline, one thing that I saw a question come in that kind of cued me on this. I did want to mention that with these filters, we've made it to where every sales rep can kind of have their own custom view when they come in here. So if you want to filter by yourself, of course, that's completely natural. Everyone wants to know what they're responsible for. If you want to filter by open leads and kind of make it to where this is your default view, all you have to do is click this little lock button. This will set this as your custom user view. So every time you come back into the leads page, these filters will automatically be applied. You don't have to go back and select them every single time. And this will be your default view. You can, of course, change it from this if you would like to, but that helps to kind of get into the groove and kind of get back into things quicker and not have to worry about, if you've got 300 leads for your company, but you're only assigned to 50 of them, you don't have to worry about those other 250. You can hop in, again, have immediate focus on what you're supposed to be doing today, and see those right here in your grid. So as you're going through this, I did also want to talk about, I guess, one of the things that I had mentioned earlier but didn't go into a lot of detail on is the customization of these stages and the lead sources and things of the like. So again, we do provide you guys with a pretty universal pipeline, from initial communication to needs assessment, so on and so forth. If you want to customize these, you can do so from within the lead details section of any lead. So the stage you can see here, you can edit these. The lead type you can edit. The lead source you can edit. So if you go in and edit the lead stage, it's very simple. All you have to do is just come in here, change the name of any of these stages, change the icon that's maybe associated with them if you would like. And you can actually show or hide particular ones as well. So you don't have to have 7 stages at all times. If you guys don't have a needs assessment or a negotiation phase, you can uncheck those, save that, and now looking back at my pipeline, you'll see that it has actually been trimmed down to 5 different stages as opposed to 7. So a lot of customization available. You guys can come in here and change any of these features or any of these categories that you would like to fit your internal terminology and your processes. Sources can be the same way. Again, we provide you guys with a list of sources already. If you come in here and click on this, you'll see the full drop-down list. The 2 that cannot be edited, by the way, are the public profile and the website. These are coming from those lead capture tools that we've been talking about that will be kind of anchored or docked on your website or public profile page. And so when you go to edit them, there will be 10 slots available for you guys to pick and choose whether these leads came from a trade show or whether they came from a phone call or whether they come from, voicemail or something that was left for you guys or a client referral. All of those options are pretty much already here, but if you guys have any unique places that you get leads from on a pretty regular basis, you can certainly come in here and define that as well. That's going to be huge for reporting, really lets you know where your sweet spot is as far as leads go so that you can focus your time and energy there. If you guys get 60% of your leads from a certain source, but that source's close rate is 5%, but you get 10% of your leads from another source that closes 90% of the time, obviously you're going to want to focus on the one that's 90%, assuming that the lead values are pretty comparable. So everybody's a little bit different, different profit margins, I guess, on different types of jobs, so that ties in as well. But all of these features can be used for reporting and kind of sweet spot analysis to make sure that you guys are spending your time and effort where it needs to be spent. One other question I think I saw earlier that I did want to address as well is, of course, what to do with these leads after you've won them. That's always an important thing. The goal, of course, is to win these leads and get them into an actual ongoing project that you are then using ConstructionOnline for to manage as time goes on. So if I go look at my contacts list here in ConstructionOnline, my leads, for those of you who are not familiar with how the lead tracking integrates thus far, my leads will actually show by default on my full contacts list with this little star icon. Many of you who are doing pretty heavy lead tracking and have hundreds of leads or maybe potentially thousands of leads in here, it clutters up your contacts list a pretty good bit, and you've got the lead tracking feature for that, so you don't need them here. You can hide those leads by checking this box. It clears out everything and lets you just focus on the other contacts. But if you do have these leads here, what you can do is actually go ahead and click on this. You can add them to a project on ConstructionOnline. So maybe once you've closed them or once they've been assigned to a job and you're going through and generating the estimate or the bids or the project schedule for them, that proposal package, you can add them to a project. Go ahead and apply them here and save that. And when you do that, that's actually going to make them become a ClientLink member on the job as well. So small subtlety here, any of you guys trying to do that currently, it will not automatically convert them to a ClientLink member. That is one of the additional changes that we've made in the new updates to lead tracking, is that when you assign a lead to a project, it does take you automatically through that conversion process, make them a client, so that you don't have to go through and actually change that on the job and assign them to a different location. And one other thing, I'm trying to kind of catch up with some of these questions here. I know that there's been a few things as far as the flow of this goes that I have mentioned and not gone into too much detail on. Great question that came in that looks like was answered for a particular user, but I want to make sure it's shared with everybody, was about importing leads from other sources. So bringing it in from from other CRM systems you might be using if you're trying to make the shift over to ConstructionOnline, or if you get leads from another source that comes in, let's say as an Excel sheet or as a CSV file. In our lead tracking system, you can bulk import leads from a CSV file. Just in the actions menu up here, if you go to import leads, you can choose a file from your computer that is a CSV file, as I mentioned. If you need to know the format for that, you can just click download template right here. That will give you a blank Excel sheet with the column headers that you need in order to make sure that you're importing that in the proper format. So there is a specific column order that you guys need to have: first name, last name, email, company, etc. This is how ConstructionOnline knows what information to put into what fields. And so if you stick to this format, most CSV files are going to be very easy to edit and kind of rearrange columns if you need to. You can bring in thousands of leads at a time if you would like, and it is instantaneous. That's one of the great things also that you'll see with our lead tracking is just like everything else in ConstructionOnline, we do really stress speed and customer experience. So we don't want you guys to have to click and wait, get the spinning wheel of death, as we've heard it referred to with some of our competitors out there. So I have actually successfully imported about 1,500 leads at a time in under a second. So incredibly fast. You guys can import that from really any source as long as it's in the right CSV format. So once you do that, they'll fill in here. You can do bulk edits if you would like. So if you go through and check a couple of these leads at once, let's say that I've had a really great day and I want to take a few of these leads. Let's say Jenny, I've just had a meeting with her, but I also had a call to Droopy and talk to him, and they both purchased. So I want to go through and edit these leads and change them both, the lead stage to fulfillment. So I've actually won both of these leads now. I can click save, it'll edit both of these leads at the same time, and now you can see it just changed the stage for both of them. If I want to close both of these leads as well, now that they've been fulfilled, so I can change them both from status open to closed one, I can do that, and I can make bulk edits at a time. They actually just disappeared from view because I'm filtering by open, but if I go over to my closed one now, I can see that both of these leads are here and updated. So great management tools here. You can make bulk edits if you need to. You can do it by sales rep. These filters really come in handy there as well. So if you want to go through, this is another, in some cases, unfortunate situation that you might be going through as a company, but we make it a lot easier to deal with. If you have a sales rep or an employee that leaves or is let go or for any number of reasons is no longer doing sales, and they've been assigned to a couple hundred leads in ConstructionOnline, all you have to do is go through filter by that sales rep. You'll see all the leads that are assigned to them, and you can very easily select all, edit that lead, and assign them to a different sales rep very easily. So those bulk edits are going to come in handy, make it to where you guys can really manipulate this data and use the system very easily and very quickly. I'm trying to think if there is anything else that I need to circle back around to at this point. Trying to take a look at some of these questions. If you guys will bear with me for just a moment here, I'm actually going to go ahead and take a look at some of these questions that haven't been answered, or even some of them that have, and make sure that the general audience is aware of them. I'm going to put you guys on a brief pause, just mute you for just a moment, and I'll be back with you hopefully in about 30-45 seconds with some answers to some of these questions to make sure that we're getting all the topics out there that need to be done. All right, thanks for hanging in there for me, guys. We did have some great questions come through, some that have actually already been answered via chat, but I did want to address a few of them just for ease of use and functionality questions. With ConstructionOnline lead tracking, so I mentioned that you do have the ability to customize some of these columns a little bit. You can drag these back and forth very easily, so if you want to reorganize these however you would like to, I know a lot of people, the next callback date is one of the more important things for them. Currently, you have to scroll over to the right a little bit to get there with my layout. If you want to bring this over to be a little more prevalent, right here at the, let's say, second column here, you can do that. Go ahead and say, hey, this is when I need to call these people back. Full customization of this. You can actually go ahead and, if you go up to the Actions menu in the Settings, completely customize which columns show here as well. So if you don't want the lead name column to show, if you want the first name to be up here and the last name to be up here, you can click and drag. Side note, you can also edit those stages, sources, and types here as well. So the pipeline stages, the lead sources, and your lead types. Quick access to all of those. But you have full customization over all of these fields here and can access those through the Actions menu. Another thing that was asked is, let me switch back over here for a second and find that. Oh yeah, question, and I did want to clarify this because this is pretty important. Somebody had asked if after a lead becomes open or after you've kind of won that lead and they're assigned to a project, do they still show up in the lead section or are they removed from the system? And the kind of short and simple answer to that is just because a lead is closed doesn't mean it's going to disappear from the system. It's actually quite the opposite. We very intentionally leave your leads in the master leads list when they're closed. You can certainly filter out by that, and that's where this open stage, this is really where most of you guys are going to live and work in, because the closed leads you're not going to care about too much. The open leads are going to be the ones that you're spending your time and effort on as far as trying to close those deals. Of course, once they're clients, they're going to be attended to in a bit of a different way, but this dashboard is not going to be as important for existing clients. It's going to be the business you're trying to win. But once you close those leads, we don't want to remove those from your leads list and from this information because then you can't report on them. If every lead that you close was removed from the system, you would have no idea, what lead sources are giving you the most close rates or the highest close rates. You don't know the conversion rates of any of those or the dollar value of the closed leads that you have. So we intentionally keep those in the system in this leads grid to make sure that you still have reporting capabilities and you can do things like, say, my closed won leads, I want to see how many leads or what the dollar value of leads is that Taylor closed. Or if I have other sales reps in here, I can switch between sales reps and see on a person-by-person basis what dollar value that salesperson has closed and how many they've closed as well. So extremely cool reporting functionality there that would not be available if the leads were removed from this feature once they were closed. So I believe at this point we have actually answered all of the questions that have come in one form or another. It does look like we're going to be, unfortunately, unable to show you guys that lead capture tool today. It's something I was really looking forward to. We will send out a follow-up to this webinar, though, to everyone who's attended and has registered with some information on that and some visuals on it. So a couple people had asked about training videos and things of that nature. This webinar will be posted, will be available to you on our YouTube channel. We are going to have some additional lead Sweet Talk videos, so the shorter ones, 5 minutes or so, 5 to 10 minutes on specific parts of lead tracking that will be available to you so that you can actually go through and refresh yourself on any of this information if you need to. Of course, don't hesitate to call us. Our customer support here is something we very much pride ourselves on. We love to help our clients. We love to be a part of your process. Some of you guys might be individual learners that like to watch videos and do it on your own. That's perfectly fine. High believers in the teach a man to fish mentality here, but we're also here for you every step of the way. We want to make sure that anything that you guys need, we're able to provide, and we love when you guys call in and allow us to be a part of your success. So if you have any questions, let us know. I will, as quickly as possible, get you guys access to this lead capture tool, but we are hoping to be live with this inside the next week and a half, hopefully, so you guys will be able to take full advantage of that on your public profiles and your existing websites to auto-create leads for you. On that note, we will also have functionality for that to where whenever leads enter their information through the website, your public profile, whatever it may be, for you to turn on email notifications or text notifications so that you get notified every time a new lead is created in the system. So those are some pretty cool features that we have coming up, and we will get you guys some hands-on access to that as soon as possible. If there's anything else we can do for you, please don't hesitate to let us know. We do have our webinar series continuing next week with ConstructionOnline, Monday, Wednesday, Friday of next week. You can register for those on our ConstructionOnline website. Topics are going to be a ConstructionOnline overview next Friday. I'm sorry, I'm kind of working backwards here. Redline Plan Room feature on Wednesday, and a scheduling session on Monday. So if you're interested in any of those features, please join in. We'd love to have you. Those are going to be at 3 o'clock Central next week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Let us know if there's anything that we can do for you, and we're happy to help. Thank you so much for joining us today, and hope to see you guys next week.